He's just an ordinary bloke from Korea, but by God, he can do extraordinary things. He's a champion, probably been our greatest All Black in modern time, if not ever, and we've had...
An ordinary bloke who can do extraordinary things. These are the words RWC winner Sir Steve Hansen used to give praise to perhaps the finest captain and arguably the greatest player to ever grace a rugby pitch. So join us as we take a look at one of the greatest of all time, Richie McCaw. Born on New Year's Eve 1980, McCaw was raised on a family farm and took an interest in flying glider planes during a young age, a hobby he avidly continues to this day. McCaw attended Otago Boys High, where he was appointed head boy and played in the school's first 15, where he first began honing his skills as a loose forward. McCaw, being a boy from humble beginnings, ventured out into the big bad world, hoping to stake his claim and make his mark. And make his mark he would. Possessing a drive and determination seldom seen, even in the competitive world of professional sport, his character always loomed large. On the field, he not only had physical presence, but poise and speed as well. At the turn of the century, the number 7 gained selection for the Baby Blacks and debuted for his beloved Canterbury in the NPC. 2001 would be a special year for McCaw as his hard work was beginning to reap rewards. In 2001, he went on to make his debut for the Crusaders, captained the New Zealand under-21 side, and despite his fair share of detractors, realised his lifelong dream of wearing the black jersey. His selection was not shy of critics, with former flanker Josh Kronfeld was quoted stating, "You might as well give all black jerseys to everybody. The fact they picked guys off one NP season is bloody incredible." Well, it would be an understatement to say the least. McCaw simply went on to prove him wrong. He was a master at the breakdown, ball-stealing extraordinaire, tearaway on defence and a good link man. McCaw would go on to have the most incredible of international careers and do the black jersey so very proud. Identified by former All Black coach John Mitchell.
But I remember John Mitchell pulling me aside, who's the coach, and he sort of said, "How are you feeling?" I was like, "I'm a bit nervous."
McCaw received a standing ovation and a well-deserved Man of the Match award in only his second test. Accolades soon followed as McCaw was awarded the New Zealand Under-21 and NPC Player of the Year. McCaw would continue going from strength to strength during the early periods of his career, lifting the Super Rugby title in his first full season for the Crusaders, as well as the Tri-Nations for the All Blacks. He was beginning to cement his spot and was awarded the International Newcomer of the Year in 2002 to prove it. McCaw entered his first World Cup as New Zealand's incumbent open-side flanker. Hoping to make waves, it would sadly end in tears as New Zealand bowed out at the semi-final stage to Australia. Still, a young man at the time, McCaw's leadership ability was beginning to be recognised as he would go on to captain the Crusaders and be appointed as vice-captain of the All Blacks. Under the captaincy of the great Tana Umaga, a young group of All Blacks were beginning to emerge. Alongside McCaw, fly half Dan Carter setting the rugby world ablaze. The All Blacks would demolish the British and Irish Lions in 2005, with Carter putting on the perfect performance. The careers of McCaw and Carter go hand in hand, and their individual successes can be credited to the combination of the long-time friends. Partnering each other in the red of the Crusaders and the black of New Zealand, no one would have predicted what was to come over the next 10 years. He dominated that era. McCaw was officially appointed as ABC in 2006 and would lead the team to one of New Zealand's rugby's darkest days as the All Blacks shockingly suffered defeat at the quarter-final stage of the 2007 World Cup in a controversial match against the hosts France. New Zealand had been dominating World Rugby for 2 years prior, and coach Sir Graham Henry was on thin ice despite previous successes. New Zealand had now gone 20 years without winning a World Cup. Fingers were being pointed and heads were on the chopping block.
The All Blacks were being called chokers. How fair was that?
People said, "Yep, you're the number one team in the world, everyone can see that, but you haven't won a World Cup."
Accused of having poor leadership ability, McCaw came under fire. The mark of great men, however, is their versatility and ability to adapt to what's in front of them. This was one of McCaw's greatest strengths. As the game changed over the years, so did McCaw. Able to rally his troops and lead from the front, he would be retained as captain and Henry as coach. The faith shown in these two men would bear much fruit, as McCaw went on to win a further 2 IRB Player of the Year crowns, adding to his first from 2006. Super Rugby and Tri-Nations glory soon followed, but the eyes of McCaw never deviated from the main prize. You see, New Zealand was hosting the 2011 World Cup for the first time since the country's only trophy in 1987. Would the drought continue, or could this soft-spoken leader take his men to the promised land? McCaw was one to lead from the front and let his performances do the talking. Not one to shout or scream, he inspired his team through his indomitable spirit and high IQ of the game. But this came at a price. McCaw suffered injury time and again and was billed touch and go for the 2011 World Cup. Despite battling injury, McCaw led his team with honour, as the All Blacks found themselves facing off with France in the final, seeking revenge for 2007 and hoping to break the 24-year dearth. His character as a person had evolved, and so had his game. McCaw was now more of a physical ball carrier and unforgiving on defence. According to Graham Henry, McCaw was almost unable to walk as New Zealand lifted the trophy following an incredibly close 8-7 victory.
But the people around New Zealand have given this team so much this last 6 weeks, and thankful we can repay them.
The 2011 to 2015 All Black side is considered by many to be the greatest team of all time, and for good reason. It's no mystery that a team as great as this requires a great leader. Fortunately for New Zealand, they had exactly that. The appointment of Sir Steve Hansen was a no-brainer, as was his decision to retain McCaw as his captain. McCaw would go on to lead the All Blacks to greater heights in between World Cup periods. One of the most important attributes of Richie McCaw was his sense of anticipation, in that on numerous occasions he was able to cover the mistakes of his teammates. Making the wise choice to rest his aching body from time to time, McCaw would make use of a sabbatical clause in order to remain fresh to attempt the unthinkable. At that time, no nation had ever retained the World Cup and won back-to-back crowns. With a core group comprising of Kano the Enforcer, Kieran Reid, DC, Mao Nonu and Conrad Smith, the challenge seemed within reach. Boasting an unprecedented win record, Hansen's side went into the 2015 World Cup as strong favourites. Many of their stalwarts having played their final game on home soil, and McCaw having broken the all-time international appearance record just prior, they had one more stab at glory. New Zealand went on to dominate the World Cup and swept the opposition away, including finalist Australia, to lift back-to-back trophies. From the ruins of 2007 to record breakers in 2015, McCaw showed character and humility once more as the ultimate captain. Subsequently, he retired from the game and left on the top. He had given everything for the black jersey to the point where there was nothing more to give. He is famously quoted as saying, "I don't believe in magic, I believe in hard work." The All Black jersey is notoriously difficult to obtain and even harder to keep. McCaw donned the jersey an unbelievable 148 times, captaining the side on 110 occasions. He left behind an unrivaled legacy. Hansen stated that McCaw is quite possibly the greatest All Black, and there have been some great All Blacks for him to compete with. To stand out amongst the great names of Jonah Lomu, Dan Carter and Zinzan Brooke speaks volumes of McCaw's ability as a player and a person. He will not only be remembered for his ability to play, but for his character and leadership to go with it. Perceived by the opposition to be born offside and constantly pushing the envelope, his rivals had to find ways to subdue him in order to be victorious over the All Blacks. He was the catalyst and remains the benchmark. McCaw's humility adds to his prestige. Never one to take credit, he's a shining example of first and foremost an honourable man and secondly an incredible rugby player. McCaw said goodbye to the game, having achieved 2 World Cups, 4 Super Rugby titles, 10 Rugby Championships, a British and Irish Lions Series win, 9 Bledisloe Cups and 3 IRB World Player of the Year awards. A giant amongst men, a great ambassador for the game and a role model to all. McCaw will be remembered as captain, leader, legend, and we may never see his like again. He is undoubtedly the real McCoy. Thanks for watching. We look forward to hearing your comments down below. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.